Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia. We are now going to do the summary of day 18 of the Ukrainian-Russia conflict. Before I start, I would like to thank you everyone that have been supporting Defense Politics Asia's YouTube channel. We have finally passed the 1000 subscriber mark. Yay! So but we are still not qualified for monetization yet. For YouTube, there's actually two conditions. One is 1000 sub, another one is 4000 viewing hours. So we are not even halfway there at viewing hours, but it's okay. I think we will reach there maybe in 2 weeks time as we continue the coverage of this war, and with your support I believe we will get there. So anyway, back to the summary. Some major things happened yesterday, so let's go through one front by one front. Okay, let's go by the Mykolaiv front. There's actually no information in terms of Mykolaiv front. Nothing seems to have happened. Even the supposed all this fighting that used to happen, I haven't even saw anything about all this thing. But presumptuously, the Russians have been bombarding all the military targets and softening the defenses in Mykolaiv, at least. There's also no news about the Novorossiysk side. This entire front is just so quiet. Nothing is happening. In terms of the Kiev front, I read that the Russians had taken Bucha previously, and they are now in half of Irpin again. So it's really some kind of confusing situation. But there is this big news where this journalist was killed in Irpin. I think it's a New York Times journalist. So he got killed in Irpin, and so at first the information came out was that the Russian bombardment or something killed him. Then after that, people was looking at the photos and saw that he was shot at the neck. That means by a bullet. That means it's a gunshot. It's not killed by shrapnels. And then I think that was kind of verified by his colleague. If I didn't remember wrongly, he had a colleague, and then the colleague kind of like told through the video cam that that his colleague is killed by a gunshot. I cannot verify this information. Sorry, So and then the Ukrainians came out and say that it was the Russian troops that shot the journalist, and then the Russian says that there is no Russian troops in Irpin at that moment of time. So it's then there is another. Then after that, another source came out. I think it's by the Irpin's mayor or something, if I didn't remember wrongly, that he said that journalists or anyone is not allowed to photograph Ukrainian troops at all. It's not allowed to. And then he was caught trying to take a photo out of the car, and then the Ukrainian troops thought that he is a spy, and then they opened fire at him and killed him. So this was like the latest story. I think it's by the Irpin's mayor, but of course, I don't understand the Ukrainian. I only saw the caption from that post within that source that I saw. So, and then the most interesting part is the New York Times say he's actually not an employee. And then there's actually a source say that one of the source from the Russian sources, they say that he's actually a agent from American, maybe a CIA agent or something that was on the ground, or an intelligence agent that was on the ground, maybe collecting information or trying to see what's happening. And then he was mentioned to have been in, I think, Iraq or something like that, if I didn't remember wrongly. I'm not sure it's Iraq or Syria. So he was like spotted to be there before. He's using a New York Times journalist pass, but the New York Times disavowed him. So I have no idea what the hell is happening. But I just telling you all the different narrative and pictures about this guy. And then after that, the Ukrainians say they're gonna launch an investigation on on the murder. They use the word murder of this journalist. So my advice is just ignore this entire thing. It's now being squeezed like a lemon for propaganda and misinformation. And I think that given the number of deaths every day in this conflict, that journalist, his life is actually worthless in terms of the grand picture of what's happening here, unfortunately. And so don't get carried away. Don't get carried away. I think you don't let your emotions blind you in terms of this conflict. The number of misinformation, disinformation, as well as propaganda is out of this world. Like, I have never seen anything like this, at least not in my life. So otherwise, there is no update in terms of Kiev, other than there's fighting in Irpin again. But the situation on the ground is actually confusing because no one actually know who is actually holding where. So some say half of Irpin is Russian, others say no, it's actually controlled by Ukrainians. I have no idea why is it so difficult to actually capture this mini city. So whatever. Let's delete off this two because this two is outdated. Coming down to the rest, there's no information around here. This one, let's delete off since it was already kind of defeated. Okay, now to Izyum, Battle of Izyum. The Battle of Izyum, there is a reported breakthrough of Russian forces through the Izyum, and then reportedly the Russian forces actually arrived at the east of Bavinkov. So they they were saying that they are fighting on the east of this little town or city. This information I cannot verify, which is why I put a question mark. I'm not sure if the Ukrainians are still there. I'm not sure if the Russians are here. Official sources from the Russian Ministry of Defense did not mention they have captured Izyum. It is a so I cannot put full credibility on this information. I just want to highlight that this was reported in the sources, and until further verification, I'm going to leave it as a question mark. So moving on is at the Battle of Severodonetsk, fighting still at Rubizny. The Russians mentioned that they have blockaded. I think in English we actually call it surrounded. The eastern and southern part of Severodonetsk. Just now I have a quick glimpse of the morning report. The Russians said in the official statement they are fighting in the northeast of the city. So they actually like kind of maybe punched into here and they're fighting around this area. But I will update that in a quick update later. But in terms of the yesterday's summary is they are fighting in the they actually blockade from the east and the south. There is an airfield here, and there's also another town of Voronov. There is no news about them capturing Voronov nor the airport. So no idea how big is this extent of this blockade. There's also this part which I actually missed out in my quick update. Is the Borivsky. So the Russians actually blockaded the entire. So the word is actually they actually surrounded on three sides of this suburb or this town. The Russians actually totally surround them, leaving them that one road into the city. So late yesterday in the evening, report by the Defense Ministry of Russia, they have announced that they have captured Popasna. So earlier in the day, they actually captured the northern part of the city, and the day before they actually captured the southern and western part. And by the end of the day, they actually captured the entire city of Popasna. So this is significant because if you look at the strategic position of Popasna, it is actually just a stone throw. I know a stone throw is a bit ridiculous. I mean, by a super giant maybe, but it is within range. Bakhmut is actually within range. And Bakhmut is a very important city in this strategic picture. We just look at all the roads branching out from it. Bakhmut is the hub, probably a resource and resupplying hub for all the forces around this region. And this Bakhmut is also the only route left, only city or village, the link left for Severodonetsk resupplying. And if the Russian forces decided to punch west and hit Bakhmut and capture it, then this would mean that resupplying for this part may be still alright, but this part will be gone. Resupplying for this entire front here will be gone. So this is actually a very likely target by the Russian forces. Or the Russian forces can also hook up northwards and encircle Severodonetsk and cut off this road by taking Bilohorivka. This could also be a possibility. Or they can actually go north, cut off this part so that allow to attack the defense line from the rear, so that this entire front can actually move forward and encircle the twin city for good. So there's a lot of possibility after the fall of Popasna. The Russians is spoiled for choice, if you ask me. So they can also hook downwards and then clear up the attack from the rear to help push out the forces here. And then that could also create a bigger front. So they can ignore here, they just hit the rear from here and create a bigger encirclement. And then that would threaten Konstantinivka and Bakhmut. They can even threaten Kramatorsk. So there's so much possibility for the Russians now that they take Popasna. So this is why this is one of the important thing. There's one source. So we come down further south, north of Donetsk. I saw this mentioning that the Russians actually started to attack Avdiivka. Then after that, I lost this entire message. I cannot find it. I accidentally clicked somewhere else and I just cannot find. I do not know where it is. And then I decided not to add that in. But according to that one post or one I don't know what you call it in Telegram. So in that one post, they mentioned that Avdiivka is actually a stronghold for the Ukrainians. There's actually it's a fortress basically, in a way how they describe it, and the Ukrainians had reinforced this city and this position for 8 years. So this makes it a very powerful fortress that should be taken. I'm just curious. This looks suspicious. Okay, so I thought maybe this might be an important area. So I actually included as a Ukrainian stronghold at Avdiivka. So something to look out for. I almost read this as hentai love. Okay, never mind. So going down to the Donetsk front, the major fight here, the Russians have broke through this Velika Novosilka line, which links all the way to Volodymyrivka. So the Russians have taken all basically half of this entire line. So there's around 7 to 8 towns along these lines, and then the Russians actually took half of it and broke through. And there's also a possibility that they have taken Vodian. Based on the latest, just now I have a glimpse of the latest update. They actually confirmed that they have taken Vodian. But however, this one I only put this as a question mark, because the Russians call this one of these town or settlement that they captured as Vodianevka. Vodianevka does not exist on this map. There's no Vodianevka here. So the closest thing I can get is actually Vodian. So I suspect that they maybe name it wrongly, call it wrongly, or call it in a different name that people are not aware of. And I, from just now my glimpse, if I'm not wrong, there's going to be a huge breakthrough from here. Because of this breakdown of forces, the entire line here seems to have broken. I will update in a while once I do up the update. So let's continue with the summary. So what is the implications? The implications is that the Russians can now have a free run towards Kurakhov or Dashne, or hook up and free the siege of Donetsk, the semi-siege of Donetsk, because this entire area is heavily defended and held by the Ukrainian forces. And then the Russian forces can actually, go up and then actually encircle or attack from the rear to force the Ukrainians off this entire defensive line. That will free up Donetsk to push outwards from the city. So this could be one important move. Another important thing is that this entire line, this entire route, let's give it a name. Let's call this the Zaporizhia Highway. Okay, the Zaporizhia Highway do the supply to the southern half of the entire Eastern Army, similarly to the Dnipro Highway, this entire line. So once they are able to break to here, then this entire southern part is going to be threatened, and then they can actually head further north to Pokrov. But I think there might be higher priorities to actually leave the siege on Donetsk, because there is a lot of forces, I believe, around here holding this line, and then once you free them up, they can actually push outwards and then rout the entire Ukrainian East Army. So I feel that the Russians are unlikely to actually turn around for Velika Novosilka, like go westward and try to encircle these forces. I think they basically can just hold the line here and ignore them and hit the more important objective of routing the East Army, because this position is not that entrenched. But this entire line here is super entrenched. It's like this is the reason why this entire border did not change this entire almost 3 weeks, because the line here is so strong that we did not see any progress in the war for this entire line. So I see the possibility of hitting them from the rear to free up to help to lift the siege on the Donetsk or Holivka. This could be a major strategic objective by the Russian forces. So I believe that they will stop the fight for Velika Novosilka unless the Ukrainians start retreating, because there is a possibility that they need to reform the defense line along this line, along this what should we call this line, man? This Marinka, Kurakhov, Dashne, Ulakli, this entire line. They might reform the defense line here, because this also this I have mentioned about this line. If this line fall, they have to fall back to this line to do up another line of defense, because once this fall, then the East Army will be heavily threatened, because then they will open up a free route to Pokrov, and that will in fact by holding this line, they are also trying their best to keep the Zaporizhia Highway alive. So we might see the battle here, or the Ukrainians might want to protect this resupply route and hold the line here on all this very familiar looking naming village like Novomikhailivka, Konstantinivka, Antonivka. So many repeating names. It's so irritating. Yeah. So basically, they might try to hold this village line instead of holding this town line. Not sure what the Ukrainians will want to do, but being routed here means that they wouldn't have time. They definitely wouldn't have time to rebuild the line here unless the Russians slow down. So the Russian may actually blitz all the way through. The what is I feel that is more likely is forming the line here. They'll have to run all the way, probably on foot, all the way to build up the line over here. I don't think they have time to dig in and entrench themselves here. Sorry, I'm just curious what is all these things. I don't know why Donetsk have all these very weird looking mountains. Like they are all very round and pokey. Look like pimples. This is just a weird geography of Donetsk. So moving south, all the way to Mariupol or Mariupol. There is no information as usual, except that I saw a one-liner, just a one-liner, that heavy fighting is reported near Azovstal Stadium. So this is actually Azovstal Stadium. This is actually the stadium here, and heavy fighting around the area here. So otherwise, there is no other information on Mariupol, unfortunately. So I think I've covered everything. In case you're wondering what is this is just naval mines. Haven't heard anything about the naval mines. If the Russians actually clearing all these mines or not. And okay, so we have covered all the battlegrounds. Let's cover this. I believe if you have saw the update, then you can skip this part. But so Yavoriv military base or the Yavoriv training ground is struck by Russian missiles. Reportedly, it's 20 missiles. The Ukrainians call them rockets, but I'm sure they are not rockets because rockets do not fly this far. And they are not guided. These are missiles, probably ballistic missiles. And I want to show you how close this is. This is the Poland-Ukrainian border. This is extremely close to the border. I think the Polish people, the Polish military and government have a huge scare there with the missiles flying so close to their border. So where is this place? So this is actually an international peacekeeping training center of sort. So this is this part. This is the red one. So this is actually where the NATO forces and the Western forces like the Americans train the Ukrainian troops. And this is actually the training ground. This is a training area. We can see where they do their training. This entire very messy area. So why I put explosion here is because that when I look at the photos of the destruction, the roof is actually this greenish blue one. It's not the red one. So I believe what they hit is here rather than here. So of course I might be wrong. Maybe they just hit both of them. But maybe the intel the Russians have is that the ammunitions and the new weapons are all around here, which is why I put this explosion icon here. So 35 people were killed and 134 were injured. According to the Russians, the number is actually 180. They actually took out 180 personnel or foreign fighters. Oh, could it be here? This is blue too. Actually, it makes more sense to be here because this look like more like dormitories. Okay, let's move this here. Okay, so because this look like range, right? Or not sure. So I think it's here because you can see all the military vehicles and I think it's here. So this is where they hit. Because I was seeing the small trees in the photos and I was like wondering where's that small tree there. So this looks like the place. I think this is the range. Oh, this is a football field. Oh my god, this is good facility, man. So whatever it is, it doesn't matter which one. the foreign fighters, a huge number of them died. So as a result, it kind of dented the entire it kind of dented the entire morale of the foreign legion, actually. So there is this tweet by Nolan Peterson. Nolan Peterson is actually a journalist, former USAF special operation pilot. He's an author, and then he dealt himself in conflict, so he's a war reporter. And then he reported on about this comment, or maybe he spoke to this American volunteer who is on the front line outside of Kiev. So I read what this volunteer says. So just some update on who is this volunteer. This volunteer is a special ops veteran who finished combat deployment to Afghanistan. So he came to Ukraine before the war, and then he's an experienced, well-trained soldier who gave up his career in US to help Ukraine. So he said, sitting close to the front line, the last safe mode of transportation leaves for greener pasture. A core group of 30 foreign fighters remain out of 200 people that were here just minutes ago. So 200 people is actually 200 foreign fighters. So the base we came from was struck by rockets in the early morning hours. People we lived with for a couple of days are confirmed dead. It's only a matter of time before our location is targeted. We are about to be cut off by a Russian tank column any day now. So food, water, ammunition dwindle slowly. The mood is somber. People are sending their last messages to friends and family. And then where is NATO? Where is the supposed good of Western civilization? So he might be a veteran, but he's delusional in a way to think that coming to help Ukraine is anything similar to the war fought by the Americans. America always go to war with extremely good support and logistic. Food and ammunition and water is usually almost never a problem. The Americans always have very good logistic backing their military operations, and probably many of these foreign fighters, because if you do not have military experience, the Ukrainians actually supposedly will reject you, and then these fighters are going to Ukraine without the kind of military backing and support, or the logistic support that their normal military actually have. You're not going to have a nice bed. You're not going to have sufficient food, no air cover, no armor cover, no artillery support. Basically, you're just there to be a mujahideen. So with that missile strike, 85%. So 170 people of 200 that left is actually 85%. 85% of the foreign fighters within this group immediately just deserted. They just gave up. They are going home. They know that it's not possible to win anymore by that one strike. That's how powerful that this strike is. Because you must see where is this? This is right at the very edge of Ukraine, which means that the Russians can hit you anywhere in Ukraine. There's no place to run away from. So going to the front line, they run the risk of getting encircled suddenly out of the blue, because we have seen Russians doing very sudden military maneuvers that you might think that they are slow, but they could suddenly just like this, suddenly just move out, and then you get caught out, or get encircled for no reason at all. So I do not encourage foreign fighters to go into Ukraine. I think it's a fool's errand. This war, as much as I try to be neutral, I cannot see how Ukraine can win this war. Russia have only deployed 10% of their military force into Ukraine, and they are not like many experts that points out that the Russians did not even use their most advanced weaponry and units, or the best units in Ukraine. you must remember there are a lot of Russian forces in Belarus and in the northern area defending this line against NATO provocations, and of course towards Georgia, to threaten Georgia to not do something funny. So what we see here is a very limited involvement. Around, my guess is around 120,000 troops, excluding the mobilization by Donbass. Just for context, in World War II, Nazi Germany, Hitler sent 5 armies into Ukraine. Five armies. By my estimate, is 1.7 million soldiers. 1.7 million soldiers to take Ukraine. So Russia is only sending, they only have like 10% of that. They are not going to conquer the whole of Ukraine. But what they have is ballistic missiles, and they can hit you anywhere and destroy all the military infrastructure. And a lot of analysts, including myself, analyze that the Ukrainian forces, especially on the Eastern Front, is likely to be running low on fuel, lubricants, and ammunition. So this is what we think is happening on the Eastern Front here. And perhaps, by extension, most of the east of Ukraine. West of Ukraine definitely will be alright. I'm sure they still have a lot of ammo. This is where the operational reserve are. Some of the operational reserve, I believe, especially those that were around Dnipro, was sent on the counter-offensive here, where they took Chuhuiv, and then they failed to take Balaklia, but they entrenched themselves at Andriivka and Slobozhanske to block this road up to prevent the Russian from encircling the city of Kharkiv, as well as Chuhuiv on a similar kind of mission. So this is the overall picture. I'm not sure how much more the foreign fighters will be there. To be honest, I don't count them. I don't really count them as any difference. I don't think they will make much of a difference in the war. Even if you put one whole division of them, like 16,000, 15,000 people, I don't think they will make a difference. Without armor support, artillery, air support, half of them will die before they reach the front line. That's how I felt about all these foreign fighters. It will be a stark difference from the foreign fighters that are supposedly going to join the Russian side, which I believe they are not even volunteers. They are actually a full-fledged division from the Syrian National Army. So a full division from Syria is likely to be in Ukraine anytime soon, if what the Russians says are to be believed. They say 16,000 foreign fighters, volunteers are ready to join the battle on the Russian side in Ukraine. Come on, that is one whole division at least of Syrian National Army. So, and I don't think they will be added into the Russian forces because they can't speak Russian. They are likely to operate as one division of Syrian National Division and basically to pay back Putin's help in Syria. So for those that do not have context, Syria was undergoing this revolution, much like the Euromaidan that hits Ukraine. Suddenly, there's a massive rebellion, and somehow these rebels all have weapons, and then they are fighting the Syrian government. They're trying to overthrow Bashar al-Assad, and then halfway through the fight, ISIS appeared. ISIS conquered I think multiple cities here. Then after that, they started to invade into Syria, and then they become a three-way fight. And the Syrian government almost fell, and then the Russians receive a call for help by Assad, and the Russians came and immediately wipe out a lot of the supplies and the oil trade by the ISIS, and then provided air cover for the Syrian National Army, and they fought back. That still took a long time to actually fight back, and as a result, Syria, I think most of Syria now is actually under national government. I think they did still lose control of some of the oil. I think around here, I think the Americans are still there. During the Trump time, Trump do not want to give it up, and then I think there are still rebels, Turkish-backed militants around the border near Turkey, and so those guys, they rebranded themselves into some Hayat name, I forgot the name, and then they are actually being paid by the Ukrainians to actually go in, and then so Syria actually owes a huge debt to Russia, which is why they are willing to probably send 16,000 soldiers into Ukraine to pay back this debt, this gratitude, eternal gratitude to Russia. But I actually have no idea whether we will actually see Syrian soldiers in Ukraine at all, because this could be also propaganda. This could be just a threat. From we can look at this picture. I don't think there's a need for the Syrians to come in unless this conflict get bigger. Similarly, just like Belarus, I do not think Belarus need to enter war. Belarus have a very important job of holding Poland, Lithuania, Latvia in their place. With a strong military in Belarus, the NATO forces here will all be trapped from doing anything else. So this is the picture, general strategy picture. So hope this helped you to understand the entire picture, and of course my opinion in terms of the strategic situation, how the troops will move, the kind of geopolitical balance. I mean, these are all my opinions. You can definitely have a different opinion to mine. I'm just sharing my thoughts. Maybe it's something you can consider. Definitely, I do not know everything. I probably don't know enough. So anyway, thanks for your support. I just want to say thank you again for the 1,000 subs. I'm very, very grateful. Because for any new YouTube channels, especially for DPA, despite the website have been around for years, the YouTube channel is actually very new, and prior to this conflict, we only had 20 subs. So from 20 subs to 1,000 in like 3 weeks, or less than 3 weeks, I think this is an amazing achievement. The first 1,000 for any new YouTube channels is really difficult, very, very difficult. So thank you so much for your support. I will continue to cover the Ukraine conflict. I hope new users, new viewers here would continue to support and subscribe to this channel. Definitely after Ukraine, we'll continue to cover other conflicts, military news, geopolitical news, and we have also we are now also planning some podcasts that we can invite guests or to come on to share their experiences, maybe in certain war zones that they used to operate in, or geopolitical commentators, or it could be just with me and my colleague, talking about the latest happening all around the world. But that is in the future. I have not planned it fully out yet. For now, please support, and I will see you in the next quick update.